Hey everyone, I'm David and you're watching Web Mastery, the show for essential knowledge to grow your WordPress website and make your WordPress website work harder for you. We'll talk about essential know-how, quick tips, and must-have tools for your WordPress website. I'm your host, David from ClickWP. ClickWP is a company providing WordPress maintenance and tech support to small bloggers and small businesses around the world. Right, so today we are talking about backup strategy. All right, so backups don't sound very exciting, but they're very important because if something wrong happens to your site, you want to make sure that you can get it back up and running as quickly as possible. And it happens to the best of us. Yesterday, just last night, as I was preparing for this, I accidentally deleted a site. I was working on a live site and I was working on the demo site for today, and I typed a command in the wrong window and I actually deleted the live site. Thank goodness, I'm on Kinsta, so I could simply just restore the backup without much hassle. But if I didn't have backups, that would have been a very bad day, right? So thank you so much for hanging out with me in the live stream today. We're broadcasting live on the ClickWP Facebook page. If you're watching later or you're watching on YouTube, do consider joining us live every Friday or Thursday if you're in the Western Hemisphere. All right. So, okay. Let's jump into talking about backups. First of all, what makes a good backup? All right, so a good backup strategy needs to have 4 elements, I feel, right? So the first is that it has to be automated, because if you try to do it manually, you'll forget, and then when you need it the most, your backups didn't happen, or the backups were much too long ago. Second, needs to be frequent, right? So frequent, ideally it happens every day or every night, and if the worst happens, you roll back to the past day, and well, it's not too bad. You lose a bit of data, but not too much data. The more frequent, the better, right? Your backup must be complete as well. So this means that you want to make sure that all the important stuff in your site, all of that goes into the backup, because if you only back up one part of the site and you missed out the other thing, that's an incomplete backup, and you'll be sad when you need it, right? And finally, the final element is that your backup needs to be stored safely off-site. And off-site means that it shouldn't be on the same server, because if something goes wrong, fire in the data center, or the hard drive crashes, your site is dead and your backups are dead as well. So you want to make sure that the backups live somewhere else, so that even if the worst happens, your backups are still accessible and safe, right? So today we're just going to run through the 3 backup options that website owners have. And these 3 options are the hosting provider, so your web hosting service internal backup system, a backup service, an external backup, third-party backup service, and backup plugins. With WordPress, we've got plugins for everything, and we have so many backup plugins. Right, so I realized that I was not showing you the slides. Oh my gosh. Right, so here's the slide. These are the 3 things we're going to talk about, and I am going to make sure that we are getting the correct screen now. Okay, so here's the first backup that I want to talk about. This is the hosting provider backups. So I use Kinsta as a hosting provider, and they automatically back up the site every night. You can actually pay an upgrade for an hourly backup, but daily backups are good enough for me. Okay, so And with Kinsta backups, with your hosting provider backups, you can create manual backups. So I really like this feature. If you click backup now, demo for web mastery, and then the backup literally takes seconds. So it just spins, and in under a minute the backup will be created. So you can create on-demand backups, and there's also manual backups. And when I'm demonstrating the feature today, it's taking longer than usual. So that's live video for you. But yeah, trust me, it usually takes really quickly. WP Engine, Flywheel, all of the managed WordPress hosts will have a backup system like this. So this is really useful. You just set it. In fact, you don't even have to set it. It's automatic. And if anything happens, you simply just need to revert back to the last backup. The second type of backup is a third-party backup service, and the one that I like and I recommend is Block Vault. So Block Vault is two parts, all right? So the first part is a plugin you install on your WordPress site, and that coordinates the backing up and stuff. And the second part of it is this backup service, which talks to the plugin, and then it coordinates the backup, and then after that it happens automatically. So a bit more complex to set up. You might have to find your SFTP key and stuff like that, but Block Vault is a really good service as well, and it even has got extras like malware monitoring and so on. So you can check them out at blockvault.net. Okay, and the third option that we're talking about today is a backup plugin. It's a free backup plugin called UpdraftPlus, and I'm going to be doing a demo to show you the features of this plugin. Okay, so this is a free plugin you can get from wordpress.org/plugins/UpdraftPlus, or you can also easily install it from your WordPress dashboard. So I'm just going to demo how to install and set up the UpdraftPlus plugin. All right. So here we are inside my demo site. So this is the demo site, license mismatch. We're going to go to the plugins, add new screen. Okay, I'm going to try to highlight my cursor. Right, that's right. Okay. Okay, so we're going to search for UpdraftPlus. So UpdraftPlus is the first option here. Click install, and your WordPress site will begin to download the plugin from wordpress.org, and this happens automatically and it's behind the scenes. So in a moment, the plugin will have been installed, and then you can activate it. So when you activate the plugin, then it will ask you to start. All right, so it has a walkthrough, right? So I'll just bring you through the walkthrough. It tells you, you can create your first backup, and then you can set a schedule. So this means this backup is automated, and you can also set the frequency. So these are the first two elements of the dependable backup strategy that I mentioned earlier. And then it has remote storage locations. So this means that this also meets the fourth criteria, which is to have your backups stored safely offsite, right? And then you can include and exclude files. So this now checks off all of the criteria for a reliable backup. The third criteria, if you remember, was to make sure that you have a complete backup, and this shows you here that it can back up all the bits of your WordPress site, plugins, themes, uploads, and the database as well. Okay, and then finally you can save the changes, and I think that's it. And they have got premium version as well, but we're just going to talk about the free version today. You don't need the premium version. I feel the free version is really good. The premium version is good. You can upgrade to the premium version as well, but for most people the free version is good enough. So now that we have activated UpdraftPlus, we're going to go into the settings, and then we're just going to set the schedule to a daily schedule and a database to daily as well. So, and then you can tell Updraft to keep the number of backups. So let's just say we're going to keep this for 2 weeks. That's 14 days. Okay. Next, you can choose your remote storage location. So I'm going to choose Google Drive. All right, so, and then it's going to ask you what you want to include in the backup. So the defaults are great, just leave them there. Although it's backing up your uploads, the defaults are smart enough to exclude backups. Because sometimes you have backups of backups, and that becomes recursive and redundant. So UpdraftPlus is smart enough to exclude this, and then you can choose to include other directories if you want. And like for example, let's say it found my debug log, and I don't really need it to back up my debug log, so I'm just going to remove that. And then finally, if you want to have an email, a daily email that's emailed to you when the backup completes, you can check this checkbox as well. So now when we click Save Changes, it's going to bring us up here, and this is for linking Updraft to your Google Drive account. So, because earlier I selected Google Drive as the backup location. So all we have to do is click the link. It brings us here. Whoops, okay, seeing all my customers. Yeah, and then so I'm just going to connect it to the ClickWP Google account, and then Updraft will want permissions to see the files in your Google Drive, and then we're just going to say, okay, we trust and allow Updraft to put files into my Google Drive. And then now we complete the setup. And this brings us back into the site. And the site is now configured to automatically back up files daily. The database also will be backed up daily. It's going to store 14 days of backups, and it's going to put them in Google Drive. All right. So if you want to do an on-demand backup, just come to the Backup and Restore tab, and then you click Backup Now. And then it'll ask you what do you want to include in the backup, and then let's say, yep, let's choose everything, and we'll click Backup Now. So the plugin will do its thing. It's I found among all of the plugins that I've used for backup, I found UpdraftPlus to be easy to use. It's really simple to set up, as you saw, and it's very reliable as well. It's a lot. I mean, it's one of the more reliable backup plugins that I've used. So as you can see, it's already completed backup to the site, and it is now uploading the files to my Google Drive. Okay, so when that's done, I'm thinking if I should show you my Google Drive, if I've got any junk in there that I don't want you to see. But yes, the backup has completed, and let's have a look at the Google Drive anyway. Let's see. Right, so here are the backup files. Show file location, and it is in my drive and UpdraftPlus. So this means that Updraft will be uploading the backups into this folder, and it will keep 14 days of backups, and Updraft will also automatically prune the backups so that they will remain, with this limit and will not eat up all the space in your Google Drive. So in conclusion, I really recommend. I really like UpdraftPlus, and I highly recommend it. And if you want to, please do also go and look up their website to learn more about their premium features. The developers, spend their time and effort creating this plugin for us, and it's good to support their effort by investing or just buying their plugin if you find it is a good plugin. All right, so you can learn about their premium features here. They're a very small company, their website is not a very fancy site. It's very straightforward to the point. So I like supporting a small business like Updraft as well. Okay, so there's just one final point I want to touch on before we end this, and that is about how to ensure that your backups are reliable. All right, because you want to make sure that you can depend on your backups. That if your backups are set to run daily, you want to make sure that they actually do run daily, right? So here are a couple of tips for you to ensure that your backups are as reliable as possible. First of all, you want to back up only what you need, right? You don't want to be backing up stuff that is redundant. You don't want to back up backups of backups. So I've noticed some site owners, they will have multiple backup plugins. I'm not sure why they do that, or maybe they just don't know better. But if you have one backup plugin that's creating large backup files, and then you've got another backup plugin also trying to back up the site, and it discovers those backups, it will just make your backups super large. And on many hosting platforms, if you're trying to back up something that's too big, the server will just run out of memory and CPU and will be unable to complete the backup. So tip number one is to back up only what you need, and avoid backing up stuff that is obviously unnecessary or redundant. Sometimes though, your site is pretty big and you've got quite a big uploads folder, and even though you are not backing up anything unnecessary, it's still causing your backups to fail. So what you can do there is to install this second plugin. Okay, so this second plugin is called Exclude Image Thumbnails from UpdraftPlus Backups. So, right, sorry, I'm not showing you the right screen. Right, here you go. This is the plugin that I'm talking about. This plugin will exclude the image thumbnails from the UpdraftPlus backups. Your images are still backed up, it's just that the smaller versions are excluded, and that helps to reduce the size of the backup and hopefully makes it more reliable. Okay, the next tip is to back up during the low period. So because backing up a website can be a resource-intensive process, especially if your site is quite big. You don't want to be competing with visitors for those resources. So try to schedule your backups during the middle of the night, like 2-3 a.m. And that's one reason to get the premium version of UpdraftPlus. You can schedule your backups to happen during 2 to 3 a.m. at night or any time of the day that you want. You also want to make sure that you automate your backups. So we talked about that. If you try to back up manually, daily, you're definitely going to forget. And when you need it the most, you realize that, oh, you've forgotten to back up. So make sure that you can automate your backups. And finally, the last tip I have for you is to make sure to test your backups. So testing your backups can be a bit complicated, maybe a bit scary, but really what you want to do is, let's say for example, let's say for example you go to this page and then you make a change here, right? Go to your website, make a change, and then immediately restore to the previous backup. So that is a quick and easy way for you to test your backup. If the backup completed successfully, you will no longer see that change that you just made, right? It will have restored to the backup that you made prior to that change to your site. So that's an easy way to test your backup. And testing your backups is very important because when you really do need to restore your backup, you're not panicking. You don't know. You have already gone through the process before, so that you know what it is and how the process of restoring the backup works. Okay, and so that's it for my presentation today. Okay, I'll leave you with the action plan, which is to, number one, make sure that you activate your backup system. If your hosting has got backups, that's probably the best way to do it, because no extra cost, and don't have to worry about reliability, and it should be complete, right? The web host should know what they're doing. Take some steps to improve your backup reliability. So maybe schedule your backups to happen in the middle of the night, or to exclude some folders that you don't need. Either way, this is a reminder for you just to go and check your backup settings to make sure that they're properly optimized. And finally, your weekend homework is to test your backups. So make a backup, make a change to your site, and then restore to the backup, and then just familiarize yourself with the process. Okay, and I think that's it. So if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments, and then I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And that's it for today's episode, right? So I promised to try to keep it to 15 minutes, and I think we did. Finally, I want to remind you again that Webmastery, you're watching Webmastery, the show for essential know-how, quick tips, and must-have tools for making your WordPress website work harder for you. Webmastery is brought to you by ClickWP, and we are WordPress experts just a click away. All right, find out more at clickwp.com. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you again next week.